Don't Hit Me Bash, walking up. In the gate. And they're off. Smiling Jojo and Kiss for Lulu are both very quick away from there. And now Western Grit splits them and is up to take the lead. They're followed by Staggerly, fourth in the early going, joined by Don't Hit Me Bash. It's another 3 back to Tom Seaver. And the franchise has about 8 lengths to make up. It's another 4 to the 2 trailers at the back of the field, Cody Boy and Drive for Show. They passed the half-mile pole, and it's Western Grit leading the way, 3/4 of a length to Smiling JoJo second. Then Kiss for Lulu third. Don't Hit Me Bash races fourth with less than 3/8 of a mile to travel. They're followed by Tom Seaver and Stagger Lee, 5 lengths off the lead, 1.5 lengths Drive for Show trying to pick up a little bit, and Cody Boy is the trailer. They're 1/4 mile from home. And it is Western Grit. Western Grit's been there every step of the way. Tom Seaver launching a 4-wide bid right behind Don't Hit Me Bash. Kiss for Lulu is down at the rail. They're in the final furlong, and here comes Tom Seaver on the outside. It's Western Grit, 1.5 lengths. Tom Terrific is coming swiftly now, and Tom Seaver hits the front with a 16th to go, and the franchise scores at first asking. Tom Seaver by 3/4 of a length. Kiss for Lulu second. Don't Hit Me Bash. Then it was a battle including Drive for Show and Stagger Lee. And they're off. High Flying Gracie, Miss Pixie Sticks, Asian Matriarch in between them, and California Code at the back. It's Miss Pixie Sticks into the first turn with High Flying Gracie down on the rail. And in between them, Asian Matriarch close up in third, 3 virtually across the track. Another 2 back to California Code. Moving toward the backstretch, High Flying Gracie is up to take the lead. Miss Pixie Sticks on the outside, and Asian Matriarch in between them. 1.5 lengths to California Code. Not much change onto the backstretch. High Flying Gracie, the longest shot on the field, will dictate the terms with both Asian Matriarch and Miss Pixie Sticks in pursuit second and third. California Code is kept widest of all, but only 2 lengths off the lead coming to the half-mile pole. High Flying Gracie, the lead shrinking. Asian Matriarch within a head now, putting the pressure on. And Miss Pixie Sticks 3 deep on the outside. Asian Matriarch and Miss Pixie Sticks go on now. High Flying Gracie is back to third, and California Code on the outside of them. Heading toward the quarter pole, Miss Pixie Sticks and Asian Matriarch on even terms. 2 more California Code and High Flying Gracie. They pass the quarter pole and turn for home. Asian Matriarch on the inside, a tough customer. Now spurts clear by a length. Miss Pix, and losing the rider there was Asian Matriarch. It's Miss Pixie Sticks in front. Miss Pixie Sticks will win it by about 3 lengths. Photo for second goes to High Flying Gracie, who's on the inside of California Code. We're in the gate, and they're off. Inner Beauty breaks out very swiftly. Gypsy Lynn is coming through, and now Gypsy Lynn takes over. Just behind them, Flame Magoon and Secrets Told is down on the fence, followed by Miss Lizzie fifth, 4 lengths off the lead, and Vincero Grande at the back. It's Gypsy Lynn to the half-mile pole, speeding her way in front by 1.5 lengths. Inner Beauty is in second. 2 more Flame Magoon Red Cap on the outside of Secrets Told. They're followed by Miss Lizzie and Vincero Grande. Around the far turn, and it's Gypsy Lynn maintaining a narrow lead. Inner Beauty comes back for more, and Flame Magoon makes it 3, putting pressure on one another. Just behind them, Secrets Told at the rail, Yellow Cap in fourth. She's followed by Miss Lizzie trying to mount a bid. And at the rail, Vincero Grande, they're at the top of the stretch, and Inner Beauty has overhauled Gypsy Lynn. 2 more lengths, Secret Told, followed by Miss Lizzie, and on the outside, Flame Magoon. Vincero Grande in the purple is making headway too. Here's Secrets Told surging outside Inner Beauty, and it's Secrets Told under Kyle Frey to win it by a length. It's a very close photo. Miss Lizzie was flying late to be in a 3-way photo, along with Inner Beauty and Vincero Grande. Jazzy Empress in the BG blue. They're in the gate. And they're off. Awkward start for Jazzy Empress. A very fast one for Bella Vienna, who spurts clear by 2. Jazzy Empress on the run on the outside, and Big Rainbow is down at the rail. They're followed by Coconut Girl and Mumbles Brockman at the back. Bella Vienna to the half-mile pole, 3/4 of a length to Jazzy Empress in second. Then Big Rainbow third, 4 clear of Mumbles Brockman and Coconut Girl. It's Bella Vienna going to the 3/8 pole in charge. Moving strongly on the front end, has it by 2 lengths now over Jazzy Empress in second. Big Rainbow still in striking range at the rail. 3 more lengths to Mumbles Brockman, fourth with 5 to make up. And Coconut Girl is last. 1/4 mile to go, and Bella Vienna, the leader, has to deal with Big Rainbow in the stretch, who's 2 behind and trying to close the gap. 3/16 to run. Bella Vienna switches leads nicely, has a 3-length advantage on Big Rainbow, who is clearly second. They come to the 16th pole, and it's Bella Vienna. Bella Vienna maintaining a comfortable margin through the stretch under Jose Valdivia Jr., and Bella Vienna jogs home. Big Rainbow second, Mumbles Brockman and Coconut Girl. And Copian to the outside. Going up. They're in the gate. And they're off. Sorbet out alertly, but it's a pretty even break all around. Ha Ha Gloria, and she's mooey mooey along the inside, but it's Ha Ha Gloria quicker than all in hand and leading by a half length. Sorbet is racing in second, and now Sorbet puts her head in front. Size Silk Stocking 3 wide in third. They're followed by She's Mooey Mooey, Cute Chloe between, and Colpian outside of them. And My Moon is at the back of the field, some 7 lengths off the leader, Sorbet. And it's the favorite in front by just about a neck. Ha Ha Gloria at the rail second. 2 more, Size Silk Stocking still third. It's then another couple of lengths back to Cute Chloe taking fourth. She's Mooey Mooey next. My Moon, and Encolpian now trails. Ha Ha Gloria coming back for more inside of Sorbet. Their heads apart as the field turns for home. Sorbet on the outside, and Ha Ha Gloria. These two slugging it out. Cute Chloe is in third, then My Moon inside the 8th pole, and Sorbet now asserts herself and starts to edge away. It's Sorbet and Hector Barrios home free. Sorbet scores by about 2.5 or 3. Ha Ha Gloria good second. Cute Chloe third in front of My Moon and Encolpian. Turquoise Bikini, the last one. And they're off. Tardy start for California Diva. Turquoise Pagini is hard ridden for speed. Tiff with Jimmy has some early foot. Then it's Unkept Secret, and Miss Commander is down on the rail. They are followed by California Diva and Allocate. 4 lengths front to back. Turquoise Bikini is the leader by a length and a half, racing well off the rail. Tiff with Jimmy is in second. Miss Commander advances along the rail, takes second. And in between those two, California Diva is fourth and only 2 lengths off the lead. Then comes Allocate on the outside of Unkept Secret. Unkept Secret goes by that rival and starts to advance a touch, 3.5 lengths off the leader. And that leader is Turquoise Bikini with 1/4 mile to go. Tiff with Jimmy in pursuit second. Unkept Secret widest of all as Miss Commander cuts the corner and comes with a run. They're in the final furlong, and it's Turquoise Bikini, 1.5 lengths lead. Far outside, Unkept Secret still grinding away. Tiff with Jimmy down at the rail. Miss Commander past the 16th pole. Turquoise Bikini fending them all off, and it's Turquoise Bikini and Edgar Payeras all the way. Unkept Secret got up for second. Photo Miss Commander and Tiff with Jimmy. So I'm told. They're off. That was quick. Devil Moon is going out for the lead. So I'm told, flashing sharp early foot two, and they're joined at the rail by Fast Per Se. And now Devil Moon, those two head and head for the front. So I'm told, a length off them in third, and a perfect spot for American Red, White, Blue under Abel Cedillo fourth and tracking smoothly. A gap of 4 back to Tigaron, racing inside Don't Swear Dave, and it's another 2 back to Barsabas. They move around the far turn, and it's Devil Moon and Fast Per Se going at it. At the rail, American Red, White, Blue, and So I'm Told. Another 2 lengths, Tigaron, Don't Swear Dave are right together, and Barsabas at the back, approaching the quarter pole. And it's been a perfect trip for American Red, White, Blue, who comes after Devil Moon at the top of the stretch. Don't Swear Dave, angling to the outside, and he's coming with his run. Tigaron, his next. They're a furlong from the finish, American Red, White, Blue, and Don't Swear Dave. Don't Swear Dave, just handridden by Mario Gutierrez, cruises by. An effortless victory for Don't Swear Dave, who wins it by 2 emphatic lengths. American Red, White, Blue was second. Tigaron third, Photo fourth, Devil Moon and Barsabas. And in. And they're off. Dazzle Me Silver gets the first call, but Devilish Desire is now sprinting through along the inside to take a slight lead. Central Dispatch is one from the outside. Matanzas Creek 4 deep, and a big gap to Pelagio, who will do his best running later on. He's already about 10 lengths off the lead, and that lead belongs to Central Dispatch. Matanzas Creek now moves into second. Devilish Desire backs off third. Dazzle Me Silver is fourth, 3 off the pace, and another 7 to Pelagio. They head toward the 3/8 pole. It's Central Dispatch leading by a half length. Matanzas Creek trying to put some pressure on second. Then Devilish Desire together with Dazzle Me Silver, and Pelagio getting going now, has 6 to make up as they go midway on the far turn. It's Central Dispatch by a head. Matanzas Creek keeping pace. These two on even terms. Dazzle Me Silver, Devilish Desire, and Pelagio. They have 3/16 of a mile to go. And it's Central Dispatch with a 2-length lead. In second, Matanzas Creek is tiring, and Pelagio with big strides coming with Dazzle Me Silver. It's still Central Dispatch with a 16th to go. Pelagio motoring, but Central Dispatch goes all the way. Another for Hector Berrios. Pelagio rallied into second, Devilish Desire, and Dazzle Me Silver. Back. And they're off. Silent Heat in the center of the course is out alertly. On the far outside, here's Venom with City of Angels just inside of him. And Topper's Wager is the gray. At the rail, Touchdown Kittle is only 2 lengths off the early speed. Then Chrome to Riches just behind this group, racing 1 from the rail. Dark Marcus settles toward the back of the field with Maxville second to last, and Aviator Nation trails. They move into the first turn behind Silent Heat, who leads by a length and a half. Topper's Wager is in second. He's followed by Venom third and Touchdown Kittle at the rail fourth, 2.5 or 3 off the leader. Chrome to Riches in the purple colors races in fifth. Then comes Dark Marcus down on the inside. He races side by side with City of Angels. The 2 trailers are Aviator Nation and Maxville. Down the backstretch, Silent Heat gets some pressure now from Topper's Wager, who's just a neck behind second. Venom outside of that pair. Then Touchdown Kittle, Chrome to Riches is fifth, just 3 lengths off the lead. Then City of Angels on the outside of Dark Marcus, 2 more to Maxville and Aviator Nation. Silent Heat has been there throughout. 3/4 of a length to Topper's Wager in second. Venom takes third. Touchdown Kittle fourth. Chrome to Riches now pushed along fifth. Dark Marcus steadying slightly, looking for racing room. Outside of him, it's City of Angels. Then comes Maxville and Aviator Nation. They're at the top of the stretch. And it's still Silent Heat trying to spurt away. Clear sailing for Touchdown Kittle, who's had a beautiful trip. Coming gamely after him in second. Center of the course, Chrome to Riches. Down at the rail, Dark Marcus and Topper's Wager. Silent Heat keeps on going. 3-length lead, and they're not going to get close. Silent Heat and Ramon Vasquez all the way. Dark Marcus was second. Many horses in the photo for third, including Touchdown Kittle, Topper's Wager. Chrome to Riches was just outside of him, and Aviator Nation started closing late. 35 cents. Five, $2021, 40 cents. The Super High 5, good for 4,000.
Only 6 more sleeps until day number 1 of the Breeders' Cup Championship event. My name's Tom Quigley, VIP Player Concierge, seminar host for the next 40 minutes or so. And speaking of sleep, my guest doesn't get much at all, but now with the Breeders' Cup in town, who knows how much sleep he gets. His name is Gary Mandela. Gary, happy Friday. Welcome to the seminar.
Thanks, sir. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. It's always great to have you. Enjoy working with you. Now, a question for you. You know, there's a lot of pressure surrounding the Breeders' Cup, and certainly horse racing reminds me of a lot of athletic events. And the deeper the pressure gets, the more tense people can get. What's it like around the barn? Are people more tense because Breeders' Cup is in town? Are they less tense? Are they not even worried about it? I mean, you got a couple of Breeders' Cup runners. What's the mood like around Mr. Mandela's barn?
Tense, I don't think is the right word. Focused. There's a little less, what joke did you hear yesterday at lunch? And did you see Kobe Bryant hit 18 threes last night?
Yeah.
That kind of, it's a little more strictly business is the fairest way to put it.
Can the horses sense that? Obviously, human athletes can sense it. Do you think the horses know something different is going to happen in a week from now?
I absolutely do. And that's honestly one of the reasons why I talk you off the word intense, because we do know that the horses can sense it. And so we try to keep ourselves as focused as you need to be. You try to keep yourself from being anxious, because I do think that the horses get some of that and it rubs off on them, and they in turn feel it. And then things don't necessarily go the way you want. You want your horses to stay as relaxed as possible.
We know that you have at least 2 Breeders' Cup runners in next weekend, Gary. Let's take a look at the workouts for both of them. First, starting with Tamara. She worked on October 20th, and she's going to work in company here. She's that's her that we see right now. She'll be joining company throughout the workout. We can see on the bottom of the screen she worked 6 furlongs in 1:12 and change. I really like the way she did it as an impartial observer. Give us your thoughts of what you thought of this workout, Gary.
She's just such a natural athlete. The way that she easily moves across the ground, and she has a longer stride. Sorry, alarm set to remind me to do something. that hopefully I did. Now we're going.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Live television, folks. But what I'm saying is, when you see her walking around in the paddock, she's not a tall, scopy filly. She's not a phone chatter built filly.
Correct.
She's lower to the ground, but she reaches, and she's so athletic and covers so much ground. You can see the ease with which she's moving compared to the horse to her inside, which is a reminder of just how talented she is and how easily she won the debutante was indicative.
Is Mike in the saddle here, or who's the exercise rider?
I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on, and the TV screen's just a little bit far away.
Yeah, you need a Hobbs telescope to see it.
That's Mike there.
Gotcha,
yeah.
Gotcha. And you guys were happy with this workout? Obviously, the gallop out was very impressive. It's the first time she's going 2 turns. This workout kind of gave you an indication that she'll get those 2 turns.
I don't have any doubts about it. I think when she's at her best, because of the ease of motion that she has,
as we're seeing right here,
ground, it lends itself to the idea that she's going to be just fine stretching out and going as far as we need her to.
Now on Saturday, you've got Go Rocket Ride entered in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Let's take a workout for Go Rocket Ride. This was back on October 20th, working in company with Salesman. Again, Go Rocket Ride is going to be on the outside. Salesman put forth a very impressive workout here in company with Go Rocket Ride. Talk to us about both of these horses.
Well, Salesman's really turned the corner lately. You saw his race at Losal, a much improved effort. And off of that, and the strength of this work, he's going to run in the TAA stakes on the Breeders' Cup undercard, going 1 mile and 5/8. His first opportunity to run that far. And that might be the perfect spot for him, as well as he ran on the dirt at Losal and given the chance to run over increased ground. Rocket's a known commodity. He won the Haskell. He won his first time out sprinting. He's fast and he can carry it. And Mike's just waiting here on a horse that's a little steadier, more of a 1.25 mile, 1.5 mile type horse that's a little bit one-paced, as well as he works here. Mike knows that Go Rocket Ride can lower himself and just jump right on top of this horse like he does right here at any moment, because he's got just that little bit of turn of foot that makes him a different high-quality horse than what Salesman is. And then once they're right here, they just both kind of lengthen and find 1 more gear and finish together very nicely. Very good work for both of them.
Go Rocket Ride is a 3-year-old, and it looks like most of the main competition, the Breeders' Cup Classic, are 3-year-olds running against older. Is that any sort of concern, or not so much at this time of year, Gary?
The 3-year-olds have held themselves very well in the Classic in years past. I don't think that's a concern, not at this time of year as well. The more important than that, as long as your horse has had enough seasoning. If you were a 3-year-old coming into the Classic and only had 2 or 3 starts, that would be one reason to be concerned about it. But that would be true if it was a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old that was late developing as well. It's more a function of that than it is age at this point. Much more importantly than that, how's your horse doing? Are they at their best?
You help your dad around the barn almost on a daily basis, but of course you've got horses that you train as well. And you had a very impressive debut winner that's a Calbred, ridden by Mike Smith, earned a buyer speed figure of 84. I joked with you, maybe she's better than Tamara. We don't see her in the Breeders' Cup juvenile fillies, but how is she doing and what's her next race?
I'll get fired if she runs in the juvenile filly. No, I'm kidding. There's a Calbred race on the undercard for Friday that's restricted to fillies like her that are bred in the state of California.
7 furlongs, I
believe. It's a natural place to stretch out from 5.5 to 7, which, no matter how much you think of Miranda, to stretch her out from 5.5 to a 2-turn race right off of that would be a big ask. This is a natural progression. We'll see if she's just as good at 7/8 as she is at 5.5. Beating better fillies, because all of these will have broken their maiden. Michael McCarthy has a very nice Calbred filly of his own in his barn. So it'll be a nice step forward for her to try winners for the first time. Somewhere down the line, who knows? My filly, honestly, doesn't give me the confidence about going 2 turns watching her train that Tamara does. My filly might just be a sprinter. We'll find out more about her next week.
Is it the distance of ground they cover with their stride? Like, what gives you that confidence with Tamara that you don't have with Miranda?
She's very athletic of herself, but she doesn't float over the ground. She has kind of a quicker action. She has a long enough stride, but it's a quicker action than Tamara's, which has just a little bit different style to it that lends itself to horses that can go further.
Miranda, did you know that she had that much ability first time out? I mean, did you really know that she was something special?
I'm not going to go so far as to say something special. We liked her a lot, and I had her in 2 different races early in the meet that she just had bad luck and she got on the also eligible list for and ended up getting scratched. I was very confident in her ability out of the gate. She showed herself to be a very good filly leaving there, and so was encouraged to try her in a 5/8 turf race early on in the meet at Del Mar, because I thought she'd leave there running and they just never catch her, and wouldn't have to necessarily prove quality to go further than that at that point. She was just ready for it, but didn't get her in, ended up in a race later. But we've always thought she was nice, going all the way back to her being a yearling. We spent a lot of money on her as a yearling because we've always believed in her.
Looking for another analogy between horse racing and sports. Right now in college football, there's a big scouting scandal with the University of Michigan. And of course, in pro football or pro baseball, they have a scouting team that looks at their opponents. Does the Mandella barn look at your opponents? Do you even pay attention to who you might be running in the race? Are you simply laser focused on your own barn?
In terms of watching horses in the morning?
Anything.
If you see anything out of the corner of your eye, you take note of it, but we're not out there trying to see other horses train. Some trainers do. They go out of their way to watch. Mostly you're just looking at what you can on paper, watch some video replays when you get a chance, try and ascertain how they're going to affect our horses in terms of, do they have speed, or they come from behind horse? Does a horse you're in against have a tendency to lug out a little bit and you'd rather be to the inside of them, things like that. You do as much research as you can, but our concentration has always been, from day one with Dad, have our horses be as best as they can and pay as much attention to what goes on under our own roof and take them over there as good as you can.
Speaking of research, we're going to find out who Gary likes on today's 9-race card here at the Great Race Place. His dad has 2 entered. Before we do any of that, let's toss the microphone over to track announcer Frank Miramati and get the early changes, which are minimal, on today's card here at Santa Anita.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park, where the track is fast, the turf is firm, and the rail on the turf out 30 feet. Here are the early changes. The first race starts the early pick 5. No program changes. In the second, number 1, Point and Shoot, will carry 2 pounds over. No changes in the third. The fourth race is the start of the $1 pick 6, just that blinker note, which is always listed in your program. Race 5 starts the all-turf pick 3. No changes. Race 6, scratch number 2, Flat On, and scratch number 6, Pat Can't Count. 2 and 6 are out. No high five wagering. As a result of those scratches, Santa Anita Park's odds maker John White has issued a revised morning line. In the 7th, scratch the also eligibles, numbers 9 and 10. In the 8th, number 4, our Swervin' Gervin will carry 1 pound over. And in the 9th, changes. Enjoy your day at the Great Race Place. Post time for the openers in 58 minutes at 1 p.m. Let's go back now to Quigley's Corner. Tom's special guest is Gary Mandela.
Welcome back. We're talking horses with Gary Mandela. He's the son of Hall of Fame trainer Richard Mandela. He helps his dad's barn on a daily basis. And of course, he's got his own string of horses that he trains, as you just heard. Gary, let's take a look at today's 9-race card. Kicking things off in race number 1, which begins the 50-cent early pick 5. We're sprinting down the turf course, 6.5 furlongs on the flat turf course for $32,000 claimers. The rails today are at 30 feet. We've got a field of 7, the morning line favorite, and the current betting choice is number 4, Give Me the Loot. Now, it's interesting. Give Me the Loot exits a race that 4 of these runners exit as well. It was opening day here. It was the very first race on opening day at Santa Anita back on September 29th. Give Me the Loot, you'll see, will be pressing the pace with Westward. The horse I want you to watch is number 3, Subsidized, who trails the field early, then makes a bold bid late. Also keep in mind this race replay we're about to watch was 6 furlongs. Today's distance is 6.5. That might help Subsidize if the pace is as fast as it was in this replay. Having said all that, let's listen to Frank Miramati describe the action on opening day for the first race.
And they're off at Santa Anita Park. It was a smooth beginning, and Westward Look is the quickest out of the gate, opening up a length and a half. Give Me the Loot with sharp early speed in second, then Inch in third. Maven was climbing about and lost some ground, now 6 lengths off the leader. Followed by Jamming Eddie. Margot's Boy is on the outside, and Subsidized trails. Westward Look clears off, has it by 2 lengths, tracked by Gimme the Loot second. Another 3, Maven at the rail third, with less than a half mile to go. Inch takes that third spot, Jamming Eddie in between rivals. Margot's Boy is on the outside as Gimme the Loot goes to put the pressure on Westward Look. The trailer still Subsidized. Gimme the Loot makes a bold move on the outside to take the lead. Westward Look trying to fight on, but now ahead back second. 2 more, Inch in striking range third, followed by Maven and Margot's Boy there at the top of the stretch, and Gimme the Loot on the outside, and Westward Look. These 2 are 2 clear. Inch has a clear shot in the center of the course and is finishing with interest as they come to the 16th pole. It's Gimme the Loot, Inch on the outside, and at the rail, Westward Look. Gimme the Loot just in front, Inch grinding away, and here's Subsidized. Give Me the Loot holds on by
Gary, a desperate finish there. As I mentioned, you can see Subsidized on the gallop out with the purple shadow roll. Kind of put his nose in front, but at the same time, Give Me the Loot battles back. So that's what makes this race so intriguing. As I mentioned, basically 4 of the 7 runners in this race exit that common race, but you're going in a different direction. You like a runner from the Jeff Mullins barn.
I think those horses all ran so hard, I'm a little wary of them coming back the next time, to be honest with you. And I also like what Jeff's doing with this horse. He reached in and claimed him for 32 out of a race he ran very well, although a little shorter than this, going 5/8. Had the confidence in him to protect him in an allowance race last time. He doesn't run that bad. He only gets beat a couple of lengths with maybe an okay trip, but not a great trip. Runs him right back for the 32 in a longer version of a sprint. He's going to sit back and get the same trip that Subsidized did there. Subsidized, I thought, had the right trip to capitalize there. You had a speed duel in front of him. The 2 horses on the front, neither one of them looked like they want another half furlong to me than they'd had that day. So I'm going to try to play against that obviousness. Subsidized, the one thing I'll give you is second time for Rispoli. Now he knows him a little bit better. Maybe he can get him going a little sooner. But to me, he kind of I thought he had a good opportunity the last eighth of a mile, didn't get there. I'm going to try a different closer.
2 and 3 in race number 1. I want to follow up on one of your comments, Gary. You said that you expect some of these runners out of that common race that we just watched to maybe react. Do all horses bounce, or is it by individual basis in terms of reacting to an extreme effort?
It's very much individual. For some horses, they'll come out of a race and they need a break, and you see the way my father gives horses a break sometimes. And
can you tell by the way of them not eating up their feed tub, or like what are the signs that they give you that they're reacting negatively?
Changes.
Okay.
If they eat really well, they stop eating. If they don't lay down a lot to sleep in the middle of the afternoon, all of a sudden they're laying down all the time. Things like that. Their hair coat will turn. The day you won, you're bright and shiny, and their hair grows 3 inches in 2 days. That's a sign they're tired. They need a little bit of a break. And you just have to pay attention to all this.
Let's turn the page, Gary. Take a look at race number 2. Begins the 50-cent early pick 4. This time we're going 1 mile of the main track. For fillies and mares, $16,000 claimers, non-winners of 2 races lifetime, a field of 6. Morning line favorite from the Tom Bell Bar, number 2, Miss K-Line, 9-5 on the morning line. Kyle Frey had a bunch of wins last week, including 2 for Mr. Bob Baffert. What say you about race 2, Gary?
I'm going to try and beat the favorite in here as well. I don't see that she didn't have a very good trip last time. The drop in class didn't help her enough to get within 4.5 lengths of the winner. She didn't exactly threaten. What about the angle here for Brian Corner, that his horse being by Stay Thirsty, and she's had a steady diet of turf races. And we're going to get back to dirt for the first time since she was a maiden special weight, where 16 non-winners at 2 is a lot easier than a maiden special weight. And granted, her last race wasn't that flattering, but this is a big drop in class for this filly. Vasquez having a good meet. I got a feeling maybe this filly can surprise a couple of people. And then on the outside, Patty Gallagher with Midnight Silence. I don't know if you prescribed to this theory, but one of the ones that I'd come up with over the years is these horses that do take forever to break their maidens. As much as I like to bet against them when they're the favorite in those maiden claiming races, there's a light bulb effect. And
Correct.
once they do figure it out, they'll tend to do it again and then maybe go back to their old self after that. So I wonder if Midnight Silence for Jose Valdivia can maybe get 2 in a row here from that.
Gary, a question for you on your top selection, number 4, Court Snort. Do horses, class is a big thing in the handicapping vocabulary. And of course, Court Snort's taking a big drop down in class. Do horses kind of know that they're superior to other horses when they feed weaker competition?
I think they do. I think you can see it. I think they figure it out in the post parade. Honestly, they just look around like this is a much less talented group of horses than the one I was with the other day, or who I worked with a week ago. And their chest swells, and they get a lot of confidence.
It would be like you and I playing basketball against the Holy Angels, basketball squad. Not to beat up on a bunch of third graders, but we kind of would know that we're lowering down in class as opposed to playing the UCLA Bruins. Is that a fair comparison?
I'm holding back from making a joke about the jockeys losing to those kids. I'm trying to be nice.
And another question for you, Gary, again related to Court Snort. How do you kind of, both from a trainer and from a handicapping standpoint, kind of interpret what Brian is doing here? It almost looks like he's willing to lose the filly. You can see not only did she break her maiden, obviously in a much tougher class level, but he's been protecting her up to this point. Now he kind of plummets to the bottom. Like, where do you draw the line between maybe, that she's a sure thing versus he just wants to get rid of her?
Just wants to get rid of her? You don't know that that's necessarily the case. Brian is a guy that will take advantage and try to spot horses where he can find a place where they can get their confidence back. You see that year in and year out. Maybe he's just taking advantage of a couple poor races. And he figures, well, it's time to try her back on the dirt again. So I can just run her back in the same spot on dirt and do that. Or, maybe because she's run poorly a couple of times, maybe I'll get away with running her in a restricted claiming race, because who'd claim her off her last race? Get an easy spot, because then she gets her confidence. I'll use my father's filly Microshare as an example of that.
Exactly.
Filly that got off of her better form for just a little bit. Dad sent her up to Pleasant. Now, he didn't drop her in for a claiming price, but an allowance race at Pleasanton is not the same as an allowance race at Santa Anita or Del Mar.
Correct.
She went up there, got her confidence back, came back, won an allowance race at Del Mar, and then won a stake afterwards. And that means a lot to a horse. Again, like you're talking about, how do you tell they're tired? It varies horse to horse how much it means to them, but for some horses it means a lot. And if she can get her confidence back here, now she's eligible to start her allowance races to where she can be protected again. And Brian's got a whole new deck of cards to play with when he figures out where to run this filly.
Race number 3, we're back sprinting on the turf course. This is 6 furlongs in distance for fillies and mares. $50,000 claiming tag, a field of 6. The favorite is on the bottom, number 6, Stressed, from the Peter and Barn. 2-1 on the morning line, ridden by our leading rider, Juan Hernandez. What are your thoughts on race 3, Gary?
Again, this is another race I was going to try and take a stand against the favorite. Like the first race, I think the speed comes from the outside. And I don't think Juan's going to get away with an easy lead, like I don't think he's going to have happen in the first race either. So what about Mario Gutierrez, who's on a filly who's proven that she can sit off the pace a little bit? Not far, she's not a closer, but she doesn't have to have the lead to win like she proved to back at Del Mar. She won a turf race there going for 50. Santa Anita had to come back on the dirt. Just throw that out and judge her off of her last turf race. And I think she's right there with these. If Mario can get her to settle just a little bit like he did that day, I think she can be very tough, especially if the outside 2 horses are going to set it up for her. And we know what Edwin Maldonado is going to do. He doesn't very often take back. So he's not going to let Juan Hernandez get away, especially to his outside. He's going to put his filly in the right spot. Now, you talk about Maldonado, the interesting move here is the jockey change that puts Maldonado on Co-Alina. Kyle Frey jumps off of a decent race and jumps right next door for Phil D'Amato. For Phil that only got beat a length last time when seen. He hasn't run since April. You and I both know Phil's very good off of the layoff. Little drop in class here, sure. But Phil's maybe doing what I was talking about Brian doing in the last race off of a layoff. No, dare somebody to claim her off me. And hey, 50,000 pays for a lot these days. That's not a bad chunk of money. But if she can win and get away with this, at some point she can maybe, be eligible for some kind of starter because I'd run her for 50 or something like that. So I think that she's very interesting to look at as well, especially taking Kyle Frey away from a filly that didn't run too bad the other day.
Bombs away on Gary's top pick in race number 3. That would be number 3, She's Resilient. Race number 4 begins the $1 pick 6 sequence. Also, race number 4 is a split of race number 6 with the exact same conditions. And those conditions are 1 mile on the main track for maiden claimer, $20,000 of the claiming tag. Field of 7, number 2, South Coast Route, who's going 2 turns for the first time and adding blinkers for trainer Peter Miller, is 2-1 according to John White. What's this race like according to Gary Mandela?
You know me from having done these, and in these maiden 20s, I almost insist on having a horse that's doing something different, and usually in terms of class. We've all gotten more sophisticated than we were 20 years ago about video replays and thorograph numbers and all these other things. And the analysis of class has maybe been the forgotten handicapping tool and is a way to find overlays now more so than it was. And I think in these bottom level maiden races, you have to search for that. South Coast Route, you talked about doing a couple things differently, but what you're not doing differently is the level. And I think a lot of times at this level, if you're good enough at 6 furlongs or you're good enough at a mile in a lot of cases. And so I'm willing to take a stand against. No secret, long dirt for the first time. More importantly, from maiden 50 to maiden 20. That's a big drop for Doug O'Neill, who also maybe takes the edge here and uses an interesting bug boy who's won a few races this meet. And if Tori Alba can work out a good trip from the rail on this colt, I think you saw the improvement from 6 furlongs to a mile on the turf, though it was modest. There was improvement there. Can improve again, getting back to the dirt, where being a son of Shame and Ghost, getting back to the dirt is likely to be the right thing as going to turf, and that could play out into a good way to beat the favorite. And a similar thing for Churchmeister, drop from maiden 50 to maiden 20. Son of Bodemeister, that makes a lot more sense on the dirt than it does on turf based on his own race record. You and I both know Marty Jones has won plenty of races in his career. He knows what he's doing.
It's his birthday today, by the way. Happy birthday,
really?
Marty Jones. Yes, sir.
There we go. There we go. I'll have to look for him in the grandstand. But
or in the winner's circle after race 4.
Yeah, there you go. They'll be easy to spot if I find him there.
Let me ask you a question, Gary, regarding pedigree, because you mentioned it with your top pick in race number 4, number 1, No Secret. How long do you hang your hat on pedigree? In other words, once a horse has 10 or 15 races, then does pedigree kind of go in the rearview mirror, or do you always look at pedigree even later on in a horse's career from a handicapping standpoint?
There's 2 situations you start ignoring a horse's pedigree. Once they've established what they're good at, or once you've tried everything and none of it works. No,
Sure.
honestly, you know,
But
this
you
is a
let
horse
the
that's
pedigree
being
be a
maneuvered
guide.
around. You know, if you're throwing stuff up against the wall, you know, this horse, as a trainer, you're thinking this horse trains better than what I'm seeing in the afternoon. So what adjustment can I make? Is it turf to dirt? Is it short to long? Is it blinkers? So you keep playing with those things and you use any angle you have to try to get everything right. At some point, if you try everything and none of it works, you just have to admit, okay, I just haven't been realistic enough about this horse's talent level, and it's a class situation, not getting the most out of them.
Race number 5 begins the 50-cent late pick 5. It also begins the new wager at St. Anita, the $3 all-turf pick 3. That all-turf pick 3 is offered every day here at St. Anita on the final 3 turf races on the card. And race number 5, we're coming down the Hillside Turf Course for Calbred. It's a straight allowance race, and it's also a split of the nightcap. It's a split of race number 9. We've got a field of 8. Number 7, Boss Selly is a first-time gelding. Number 3, Discretionary Day, going route to sprint for the Jeff Bundy barn, is the relatively lukewarm 3-1 favorite. This was an interesting race, Gary. How'd you see it?
I saw it that way. The first place on the card that I think the favorite's maybe going to be really tough and doesn't have necessarily enough weaknesses to throw me into looking at other ways. Jeff Bondi's did a nice job with this horse, gave him a break, gave him a race first out, improved off of that, improved again. You can see last time out a big effort, only got beat a length going a mile. Edwin ends up in a sprint race here. I've always liked milers coming down the hill myself. We've seen enough horses win on the front end this meet that part doesn't bother me. I think Edwin's going to have a really nice trip here. The other horses that are coming in this race have route speed, not sprint speed. He's not up against a horse coming out of a 5/8 race where they were the speed and faded, and they'll get a softer front end fraction this time. I think Discretionary Day will have a great trip and is the horse to beat in here. I thought Andy, Can You Hear Me was interesting at a look, though, because he would just throw out the dirt races, undefeated on turf. So, you know, here's Jeff Mullins, for whatever reason, even though this horse won on the turf, ended up in some dirt races. Wouldn't know exactly why, except for the last race. That was a race that was rained off, and he just left the horse in. Now we finally get back to a chance to run this horse on the turf. And I'm impressed with the fact that he has a horse by the factor that won at a mile. We haven't seen a lot of those. So I think Down the Hill is actually right in the wheelhouse for this one from a pedigree perspective. And Hector Berrio is having a terrific meet himself. So
Those of you watching have plenty of time to watch the replay for number 3, Discretionary Day, Gary's top selection in the race. Excellent effort going 2 turns. Just got nailed late by a deep closer, but certainly the cutback coming down the hill should hit him right between the eyes. Race number 6 begins the 50-cent late pick 4, as mentioned earlier. Split of race 4. It's for maiden claimers. $20,000 is the tag. 1 mile on the main track is the distance. 2 scratches, leaving us with a field of 5. The original morning line favorite, number 2, Flat On, has been declared out of the race, as has number 6, Pat Can't Count. Now the revised morning line favorite is from the Mike Piper barn at 2-1, and that would be number 3, Torque Wrench, going, I believe, turf to dirt, if memory serves me correctly, and also taking a big drop down in class. With those scratches, Gary, who do you like now?
The biggest drop in class in horse racing, maiden special weight to maiden claiming for the first time. It, to me, is the most prolific of those, and that's exactly what this horse is doing. Mike's been a solid trainer his whole career. I think he's just deciding to be realistic with this horse. Obviously, being by Liam's map, the move to dirt isn't going to be a big deal here at all. It's more about the drop in class, and I think Torque Wrench is a deserving favorite in this spot. If there's a chink in his armor, maybe a lack of pace, but how often do you find watching these races when there's a drop in class, horses are closer to the pace than they normally are? That's part of what I was talking about with these horses figuring themselves out in the post parade before they ever load in the gate. I think that's a confidence, and they just see themselves and they get a little bit more aggressive, and they end up having a better trip because of it.
Race number 7, we're back on the turf course, this time 6.5 furlongs on the flat turf course. It's a race for maiden special weights. We've got a field of 8 after the scratch of the 2 also eligibles. Both 9 and 10 in race number 7 will not compete. And lo and behold, look who the morning line favorite here is from your dad's barn. Number 3, Pioneer Prince, returning off a long layoff. 3-1 according to John White. Before we get your thoughts on the race, Gary, we want to watch a workout for Pioneer Prince. This was right here at St. Anita on October 14th, courtesy of our friends at xptv.com. Again, Pioneer Prince is on the outside. Eisenhower is down on the inside. I really like this, what I would kind of consider to be somewhat of a maintenance drill.
And what would be interesting is if we could go back and watch his workouts from prior to his first race, because he was kind of an immature young horse. And we thought we'd done enough work with him, and we thought we had him okay. And it's all right, throw him in for first time and see what he can do. As you can see, he ends up in a very tough race where horses out of there have come back to win. But gave him a break to let him mature and grow up. And that's what you're seeing here from the top of the stretch all the way through the lane is if we called Gary Young or Andy Harrington or any of the other guys from up there, they tell you this is a much better breeze than what you had seen 6 months ago from this horse. He's grown up, filled in, really become what he was always meant to be, and the frame was always there. But now all the parts are where they need to be. So we'll go ahead and try him here. Maybe it will end up that he's not necessarily a turf horse. He's going to be a dirt horse in the end, being by Pioneer of the Nile out of a Henny Hughes mare. Hard to say exactly, but what we do think is that he's got more quality than he showed us in that race back in January, and that breeze is indicative of that. He's just doing very well.
Gary, you've got him on top in your selections, but you do have some concern for number 2, Neon Lights. What is it about number 2, Neon Lights, that you like?
Well, it looks like the last race was an experiment to stretch him out. Now they turn back to sprinting. His last sprint was pretty good. You can make an argument if that 5 furlong race was 6 or 6.5 furlongs, this horse, it might have been right there coming from just a little bit off of it. So I think that makes him an interesting horse, especially with as good a last 6 months as Steve Knapp has had. Of the horses that aren't ones that I take care of, he's the one that I think is the most dangerous to us. But if Pioneer Prince runs the way he's working, I think he'll be very tough.
And the race that Neon Lights exit that Gary was referring to, that 2-turn race, actually has produced 3 next out winners. So it certainly looks better on paper than what you might think. Race number 8, we're sprinting on the main track. Fillies and Mares at Solanas optional claiming race, going 6 furlongs. We've got a field of 7. And again, the morning line favorite down on the bottom is trained by your father, number 7, Report, who won on debut and is 8-5 today. Before we get your thoughts on the race, Gary, let's watch this replay of Report's debut win. This was back on October 7th. She broke from the rail. She's going to be easy to spot because she's in front every step of the way. Let's listen to Frank Miramonti describe the action.
And they're off. Very fast Report out of the gate, right to the front, opens up 2 lengths just like that. Side by side, comes away in second. Riley G came away smoothly and is now second. Always Smiling is racing in between horses. Miss Monarch Bay asked for a little more speed, 3 lengths off the lead. At the back of the field are Sultry Kitten and Lisa's Nono trails. It's Report to the half-mile pole, in hand, in command, by a length over Riley G in second. 2.5 more to Always Smiling and Miss Monarch Bay, followed by side, Sultry Kitten and Lisa's Nono at the back. 3 furlongs out. Report is the one to catch, leading by about 1.5 lengths. Riley G set down, trying to close the gap in second. They're now 5 clear of Miss Monarch Bay. Always Smiling, passed at the rail by side. Side by side takes third and is moving well with 1/4 mile to go. It's Report and Riley G. Report hugs the rail and goes on by a length to Riley G. Side by side continues to finish nicely in third. Report with 1/8 mile to go, 2.5 length lead. Riley G side by side moving into second. Report side by side. It's Report sharp from the moment the gate opened. Report at first asking a promising debut.
Gary, this daughter of Empire Maker out of a dam that your dad trained by the name of Rumor could not have been more impressive on debut. As I mentioned, breaking from the rail, 21 and change, 43 and change. She kept right on going. That race that we just watched was 6.5. Today is 6. You've got a great outside post. Slam dunk for us handicappers and horse players?
No such thing. No such thing at all. First time against winners, and anything can happen. Inexperienced filly. But she showed us a lot of potential going into that race. We had confidence in her. It was nice to see her live up to it the way that she has. Her mother was very fast. Whether the Empire Maker will kick in at some point and 2 turns will be an option for her, we'll have to see as an eventuality. But she's done everything right so far. As a 2-year-old, she didn't, and she was immature and she needed some time. But now she's ready for this. And with an outside post, I would imagine she'd have a very good trip today and be very tough to beat.
Gary, who do you think is her main competition if she doesn't hit the winner's circle?
Jensko. Jensko looked like maybe either needed a race or just isn't a turf horse first time, then came back and won nicely for John Sheriffs. Wasn't able to live up to that first time against winners, ran third, but John, in his typical fashion, taken a little bit of time, tried to figure it out. We all know when John figures it out, his horses run very, very well. He's one of the best that we have here in California or in the country for that matter. And Jensko, if she gets back to the form that she had when she broke her maiden, she could end up being a filly that has just as much potential as our filly does, and give us a good run for our money.
You've talked about your father, now you talked about Mr. Sheriff's. You know, it can't be stressed enough, giving time to horses is so important. Now, you need patient owners in order to do that because they're incurring bills while that downtime is occurring. But it's in the horse's best interest to give them time if you believe that they need it.
Absolutely. And it isn't always the easiest thing to just take a step back and wait, because owners participate in the game because they want to see their horses run and they want a chance to win. But you end up having these conversations with your owners about what's best. And sometimes it is more cost effective, since you brought up the cost of turning a horse out, but it's more expensive to stay in training and stay entering and not winning than it is to take a break, get a horse as good as they can be, and have them winning when they come back 6 months from now. And that's just kind of the way that you have to look at it.
Close out the day in race number 9, going back down the Hillside Turf Course. Again, a split of race number 5 for Calbreds. It's an allowance race. A good field of 8. Number 4, Grazed from the Red Hot Mark Glatt barn is the 5-2 Moray Line favorite. We need a winner to close it out here. Gary, who's it going to be and why?
There's very few people you could have leaned on harder in the last month or so than Mark Glatt and his stable. And Grazed looks like he's in a really good spot here. Just won very nicely to break his maiden. Finally, got out of the bridesmaid role, won easily for Umberto, and looks like he'll get a really nice trip sitting just off the pace to do it again today. Gypsy Tears on the outside is a little bit interesting to me. If you're going to insist on trying to beat Grazed, which I actually don't recommend, even though the price won't be great. But Gypsy Tears, one of these interesting occurrences that they have a bonus in place for Calbreds. You break your maiden, then you have to go into the winners category. If you win a winner's race on dirt, you can come back and win that same winner's race on turf, which is what they're allowing this horse to do. So a little bit of extra experience, a little bit extra confidence from the win. Will it translate to the turf? You had a turf race there and it was just okay. The other question mark for this horse above and beyond that, which goes both ways, is both wins at Los Alamitos. Now, you and I both, I think, agree turf horses run better on the dirt at Los Alamitos than they do in other places. So is that indicative of this horse deserves one more chance on the turf? If the price is right, I'd go with that. But if this horse is overbet, well, this horse maybe just likes Los Alamitos and nothing else, whether it's turf or dirt, and bet against. Price is going to determine where you go on a horse like that, I believe.
Gary, I took a sneak peek at tomorrow's entries, and we've got Frankie Dettori back in town. You're old enough to remember when Frankie Dettori was walking around here as an apprentice and basically nobody knew who he was. Now, obviously, that's changed. He's a world-class jockey, and obviously, I call him a rock star. What makes him such a successful jockey, in your opinion?
The horses love him. They run for him. I'll date myself. I'm old enough to remember him jumping over the fence at Hollywood Park because he didn't have a license yet to get on horses for John Gosden just to gallop them in the morning. I mean, that's how far back we all go together. But Frankie just... maybe Flavian Pratt is the best current rider to compare him to. Horses love him, and they run for him. He's analytical, and he assesses a race very well. He's very athletic and can use himself the way Flavian does, or the way Pinkai would, to influence a horse and to make changes and to get the most out of them. And I think it was really interesting to see him transfer all of that European success into the success here at Santa Anita, being based here. It shipped around quite a bit and rode some big races, but how well he did here at Santa Anita in all kinds of different races, dirt and turf, claiming races, allowance races, stakes races. I think some people were taken by surprise by that. Guys that are as old as we are weren't.
Frankie might be analytical and able to assess the race, but there's nobody better than trainer Gary Mandela sitting down for 40 minutes and talking to us about today's card. Gary, thanks so much for your time and insight. Really appreciate it. You're a pro at this, and I enjoy working with it. I hope all of you enjoyed it as well. Next voice you hear will be track announcer Frank Miramati updating us with any late changes. Enjoy the day, everybody. Have fun and good luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park, the great race place. The track is fast and the turf course is firm with the rail on the turf out 30 feet. Here are the changes. There are no changes in the first race. Started the early pick 5. In the second, number 1, Point and Shoot will carry 2 pounds over. Third race is clear, no changes. Fourth race starts the $1 pick 6. Just the blinker note. The fifth race begins the new $3 all-turf pick 3. The sequence today is races 5, 7, and 9. It also starts the late pick 5 with no program changes. In the sixth, beginning of the late pick 4, there's no high 5 wagering with the scratches of number 2 flat on and number 6, Pat Can't Count. 2 and 6 are out, no high 5 wagering. And with those scratches, Santa Anita's morning line odds maker, John White, has issued a revised morning line. In the seventh race, scratch the also eligibles, numbers 9 and 10. Eighth race, number 4, are Swervin' Gervin, 1 pound over. And in the ninth race, no changes. Enjoy your day at Santa Anita Park. Post time for the first is in 25 minutes at 1 p.m.